I'm sensing a free pass, not from you or Mr. Josie, but some people chose not to get involved with the situation because it is Mr. King. And the reason for them doing that is because no. This is important because this is a public. It's out there in the public, and it has affected some people. I decided yesterday to put it aside, not to talk about it anymore. But persons have said, based on what the gentleman said yesterday, he didn't say some pleasing things about the organization that he just left. Some things were said that was not proper.
Our business this morning, if I'm to understand it properly, is to continue doing what we have done. What the public has praised us for, I put myself in it, although I only come once a week. And as I said to you earlier, before Sir Michael arrived here, I am not used to writing notes. What I do, I make about 5 points and try to follow from Sir Michael. What you're saying there, I think those who are listening to this program, after we have finished, and today I think we should go half an hour over time.
Oh, really? Coming from you, that's a compliment.
I would be willing to do that.
All right,
exactly.
Great.
So what I want to suggest to you, let me begin by reading what I have, my notes.
Okay.
And I have 2 sets of notes.
Go ahead.
So I'll read the introduction, and people will get a feel of where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But I want to say today, one of my main thrusts would not be criticizing King, but praising Prime Minister Alan Chastanet, and showing the people of St. Lucia, the UWP, the Labour, and everybody, that this guy is guided by the hands of God, by the power of God. This is one of the things I must say today.
Newspapers.
So let me read what I have written for today's program. The clever fox knows many things, but he could not pick the grapes which he desired. So he walked away, saying to himself that the grapes were sour. The moral of the story is that we often criticize or hate what we cannot have. The fox even had an unkind name for the best grapes. It called the grapes toujours sous, never called it Honorable Prime Minister or Dr. Lewis or Dr. Morella Joseph. Never. That is, until the grapes fell and the clever fox gobbled them up from the dirty ground without washing. The fox was obsessed with the grapes on the vine. He said they were sour when he couldn't pick them. But the fox was not patient or optimistic. He did not even know that the grapes, when fully ripe, will fall to the ground on their own because he did not understand the law of gravity. People who are patient know how to wait. Unlike the fox, smart people are often optimistic. When people feel optimistic, they stay where they are, unless frustration and extreme greed opens the door. Optimism and confidence in any particular situation usually breeds success. And there is nothing that breeds success like success. Optimism and confidence work together to oppose political change, especially that which is advocated by devious people and failed politicians lacking integrity. I repeat, optimism and confidence work together to oppose political change, especially that which is advocated by devious people and failed politicians lacking integrity. And optimism shows us in a large measure, shows up in a large measure on the number of vehicles we see on the roads of St. Lucia. People who are not optimistic don't invest in vehicles on the road because the depreciation of the vehicles are too rapid. It's because you know there might be money coming in later that will permit you to fix that vehicle when it's damaged or buy a new vehicle. And that is one of the best signs of the success of this Alan Chastanet government. One of the best signs of optimism is how people live their lives. From a political science perspective, the clever fox may know how to use words to entice his friends into error, but this will not deter God-fearing people who see the progress of this country and who, who like what they see. Besides, native common sense trumps book knowledge anytime, as the latter can't communicate the language of hard-working people. If we have learned anything about Prime Minister Alan Shastney, it may well be from his detractors, because the Prime Minister has been referred to as a businessman, which supposedly disqualifies him to be Prime Minister. Oddly, none of his critics has told us what properties and professions would better qualify him and any other as Prime Minister of this fair land. The Prime Minister has been accused of not listening to advice from others. By this is meant that he does not follow other people's ideas of what is to be done, when, where, and how. To this criticism, I have one reply only. If the Prime Minister was to follow your advice and he fails, who would take the fall? Who would be blamed? I can feel and hear the silence to that question. Every Prime Minister and leader, if he is worth his salt, will surround himself or herself with a group of trusted, competent, and qualified people whom he can turn to for advice. Still, no one should bind him or expect him to be bound by what advice are proffered by others. He has his own mind to make. He is the Prime Minister. They say he's a white man who does not speak Creole, but none of them will tell us how many overseas meetings the former government, which was in power for 20 years, or over 20 years, attended in England, America, Canada, France, or elsewhere to speak on behalf of St. Lucia, to negotiate on behalf of St. Lucia. How many of these meetings were held in Creole? How many? None of them who criticize the Prime Minister for not speaking Creole can tell us how many meetings they attended in 20 years overseas on behalf of St. Lucia that was spoken in Creole. That is the meeting. I stated many years ago, when I was an active participant in the politics of St. Lucia, an era in which I am very proud, that lawyers do not have an automatic right to lead this country. Even those countries that are theoretically governed by laws and not by men, it doesn't automatically mean that a lawyer has more right to lead than a businessman, than an economist, or some other. I did not stop expressing that lack of confidence in lawyers as people deserving to be cast in the role of Prime Minister without closer scrutiny. I suggested then, and I repeat today, that the best leaders in our Western-type democracy ought to be people with a modicum of understanding of economics, politics, sociology, history, and yes, sound business acumen. That was my position 40 years ago. That is still my position today. Academic qualification is important, but it is not the end-all and be-all of leadership. Integrity, in my humble opinion, is at the top of my list of what I deem necessary and essential in a political leader. Integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness. Integrity implies a lack of corruption, an internal consistency, or an unimpaired character. Those who call themselves political analysts or who pretend to possess a superior intellect can say or write whatever they want. But I warn them that more and more people, including more and more St. Lucians, are thinking for themselves than ever before. I now offer a word of advice to those who can think for themselves. When you are uncertain or you do not know something, admit it. Only then will the desire to know rise within you, and the powerful spirit with which you were born will guide you to know the truth. You will learn that that spiritual power within you has no substitute and no equal. A person will also get to the truth by asking the right questions and listening with a discerning mind. A correct political analysis at this time will reveal at least two things. The old fox knows that if it stands under the grapevine for a very long time, or for a long enough period, a grape might fall.
Yeah.
But he does not understand why. He just knows a grape might fall. Those who left the UWP and were gobbled up by the hungry foxes in the SLP, we have to ask one or two questions. What did the SLP employ these former UWP leaders to do? Did they employ them to serve their constituents, or did they employ them to serve the people of St. Lucia? Based on my knowledge of these events, and I was there, I repeat, I was there, it is fair to say that the SLP became a political cemetery for those former UWP leaders. And I will want to repeat that statement. In everybody's mind who can see, who is not blind, and who wants to see, those persons who were called leaders, who left the UWP and joined the Labour Party, they joined a cemetery of political discards. They have never been able to rise to any substantial level compared to when they were in the UWP. And I am predicting, I'm no soothsayer, I was not ordained by God to come and say this today, at least I don't know that for a fact. I am predicting that anybody in the leadership structure or who reached the stage where Sir John or Honorable Mike Alan Chasney appointed them, who leaves and join the Labour Party, they are going to that same political cemetery. Mm-hmm. Remember today's date? That is Peter Josie speaking.
Yes,
okay?
Sir.
That is a political cemetery. I cannot put it any other way until the discussion begins.
Yeah.
And if our past experience means anything, the new power will suffer the same ignoble political death. The hands of fate has turned in such a way that the same godfather of the UWP, that is Henry Girodi, who took him by hand to join the UWP, and together with Sir John Compton made him a minister of the government, he too will suffer the fate. And as fate would have it, and again that is the work of God, it is Girodi's daughter, the man who held him by his hand from his office, that is from Girodi's law office, brought him into the UWP. It is Girodi's daughter that is going to come in the next general elections and replace him. A lot of people can see it, but maybe cannot express it in a way that others will understand.
Yep.
While we're on the campaign trail champion and listeners, we must remember that the last SLP misleader did not have the political goodwill. Alan Shastley's hands in Parliament when it was offered in a friendly gesture or as a friendly gesture. It was the same unprincipled leader who was hostile to the Susie Dovey constitutional reform. That same Susie Dovey commission which he appointed. And by the way, if this guy and his followers in the Labour Party had any foresight, all of the beating of pans and the crying and calling for elections would not have happened, because they had the constitutional power and numbers in Parliament to at least change one aspect of the Constitution if they didn't change anything else. And that was to have a fixed date for elections. Okay? So I will stop here for now, and in the opening of the discussions, before we close, I have some words of advice for the UWP people who are members of the UWP, and I have some words of advice for the young lady, Ms. Janine Girodi McIntyre, who is the candidate.
Yes.
So these two I want to to address, and also to say a word finally to the Prime Minister, Alan Shasley.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your preamble this morning. This is one of the ones, the longer ones we have seen from you in recent time. Mr. Shasley, Mr. Sir Michael, before we go on to your preamble, I want to ask a question to both of you. Do you believe at this time of the election, at the eve of the election, that there's anything that the Labour Party could say to change the minds of the supporters of the United Workers' Party, or to convince them, or to deter them from voting for the UWP at this time? Is there anything in your mind that the SLP can say?
I can't think of anything. They can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we know about their propagandas and their lies and everything else. So the United Workers' Party supporters and St. Lucians have seen and heard it all, but you don't believe at this time that there's anything that they could say to convince the people to prevent them from voting for the UWP?
I believe in listening to people, and I'm sure both yourself and Mr. Josie feel the same way. If you walk around St. Lucia for the last 6 weeks, that is what I have heard. Most people have said people's minds are already made up.
I believe that.
I don't know if you have heard it.
I've heard it.
I don't know if Peter has heard
I've
it.
heard it.
And I don't know if either of you believe it.
I believe it too.
Personally, I do. And at the end of the day, that's why we have democracy. The people have listened for 5 years to what this administration has done, and they will take it from there.
Yes.
What has to be done now? I want to congratulate Mr. Josie on his preamble today. I want to congratulate Peter for 2 things. I noticed he's dressed like a young man this morning.
He looks very dapper to me.
He looks
Very young.
dapper today.
It's all in the mind.
Yeah.
But
He said he had breathing exercise. I don't know what that
in
is.
addition to that,
Yeah.
I think Mr. Josie realizes that I will say the end to our discussions, because I don't know what will happen after the elections, but we're in the closing hours of our encounter today. I'm happy to see that Mr. Josie has taken the time to offer a very precise preamble today. As a veteran politician, and I always respect him for what he is, to share with the St. Lucia public. I listened attentively what he said today. What Mr. Josie said today is very, very deep. And I trust that the audience have listened very carefully to what he said, because he made some very valid points, very valid points. So I see that. Okay. And to answer your question, I've told you my views about it. I have a couple of points to make. We also have a very good film, which will probably take about 7 minutes. Exceptionally good, which I have given to your camera guys, which we will display. But I would also like, as usual, to give my little preamble on the generally what has happened, despite the fact that all this confusion has taken place and tends to drown the reality of where we're going in life.
All right, beautiful. Let me put,
And
before you
Michael,
go to your preamble, the same question to you. Do you believe anyone can change the minds of the voters at this time? I've seen things happen on election day.
If your memory is strong enough, I have said on more than one occasion right there that I believe the people of St. Lucia have made up their minds. So Michael say they have heard and things. So I believe seeing is even greater than
Seeing is believing.
believing.
Yeah.
Because you see for yourselves. You know, those who follow see the progress in every constituency.
Yes.
Even in those represented by the opposition. You know, in every constituency you have seen things happening. Every constituency around the island.
Yes, sir.
And those who have been paying attention and are not afraid to keep an open mind, I think are convinced that Alan Shasley has done a far better job, in fact, and his government, all of them, has done a far better job in 5 years than the previous government did in 10 or even 15.
Yeah. All right.
You know, Champagne, normally I give you the papers,
the newspaper,
but I'm going to take the liberty.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to take the liberty to read the headlines today.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm going to leave it to Champagne
Yeah.
and Mr. Jolie to judge the headlines today.
Yeah.
Very interesting, and I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
The headlines is, by King cites ethics as reason for quitting UWP. That's one. The second one is, Pierre, King left and joined us.
Yeah.
And the third one is, Drury McNamara under fire.
Look at all that.
You know, now, I say no more. This is the headlines on the paper today, and I wouldn't say I'm concerned, but I'm intrigued by the manner which is input. At that point, I say no more.
Okay.
Now, St. Lucia, the election date has been set, and as usual, the public is now confronted with the truth, the untruth, and reality. It is now left to the electorate to decide for themselves the true status of St. Lucia 5 years after making that significant decision in 2016. As usual, there are persons who are now satisfied, while others not so pleased. No incoming government can expect to cure the ills of their predecessors in one term. Hence, most citizens always ensure that the first term incumbent are generally given a second term. The electorate must remain savvy and judge every administration by performance and ignore the blatant lies. St. Lucia is now emerging from the most devastating economic situation the world over in 100 years. And it is safe to offer kudos to an administration that kept Fairhaven out of the jaws of disaster. For the past 18 months, despite all the insurmountable problems, 2 cruise ships entered St. Lucia, which clearly revived a sense of hope after an 18-month drought. But fortunately, the land-based sector for the last 6 months had produced far more business than anticipated, as arrivals actually surpassed pre-COVID arrivals. On the other hand, a motorcade witnessed by all St. Lucians last Sunday went down in history as the largest motorcade ever recorded on island. This was an enormous boost to the current administration, which regarded the overwhelming participation as a tacit sign of endorsement. Regarding Mr. King's decision to step away from the United Workers' Party at this stage is indeed very sad, but he is a grown man who has unfortunately allowed the wrong persons to distract him. But unfortunately, he is not the first nor the last to operate this way. The nonsense being uttered by the SLP and now unfortunately being endorsed by Mr. King about placing people first is very false. Which administration has created more employment and improved infrastructure of St. Lucia more than the United Workers' Party? Another disturbing allegation is the fact that the United Workers' Party is not what it used to be. The whole world at large is based on change, and by this we wish to refer to the areas which once grasped our attention. The opening of a standpipe, a playground, or a school, to put it mildly. St. Lucia has now changed And today, the creation of the John Compton Dam, the creation of a magnificent marina, the creation of the tunnel roads, the creation of water treatment plants at various points, Denry North, Denry South, the creation and completion of the Grace Water Plant, providing 4 million gallons of water per day more than the South ever witnessed, the construction of an international world-class terminal and a world-class hospital, 6 international football fields, the elevation of Sir Arthur Lewis Community College to university level are the areas which need to be focused upon. To confirm how the world has changed, we have also witnessed climate change. So when some of us question the philosophy of change, we must sit back and reflect upon the direction the world is heading. 15 years ago, St. Lucia, like all other small island states, grappled with unemployment issues. But the hospitality industry, which has grown by leaps and bounds, employs some 15,000 persons today, and another 2,000 are employed aboard cruise ships. These are the changes, and with this change brings growth and improvement to the living standards of many St. Lucians. The big question today focuses on politicians who have remained in power for more than 20 years, earning salaries and perks as well calculated, if well calculated, can reach as high as $3 million per politician. And so we ask ourselves, has the nation benefited from such large payments vis-à-vis what we have gained in return for those salaries, based upon the fact that many St. Lucians, including myself, who moved abroad to understand the changes taking place in a very competitive world. For myself, I was raised in humble beginnings, went abroad, and discovered the hard facts of life. After 20 years of working 14 hours per day, I returned to my native land and made significant contributions which automatically created in excess of 3,000 jobs. In my humble opinion, this contribution pales the contribution made by some politicians who simply remain within the corridors of power, only heard of at election time. There are individuals who only inherited a position as Prime Minister but never actually won an election on their own. Since the departure of Sir John Compton, only one individual has won an election for the UW on his own, and this happens to be the current Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Mr. Champagne, this is my prayer.
Okay.
Yeah, so as I said, Champagne, I have some more things that I've written.
Yeah.
And I think we better put everything in the pot, and
Yeah.
then we can discuss as we go along. Okay?
Okay.
And I said to all UWP supporters, that is specific to all UWP supporters who can hear my voice. I'm speaking to you all right now. And I'm advising them. Okay, I'm taking the liberty, having been in politics for so long, having opposed the UWP at one time, having joined them because of Sir John, I think I have judgment and experience on my side to be able to make the statement I'm about to make. Do not ever blame the snake for any man's action. Yes, I know what the good book says about the snake and temptation, but that was a metaphor. And a metaphor is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or an action to which it is not literally applicable. So the snake was used as a metaphor for someone who can creep into your mind, present a gift, and tempt you to do something you know and was warned about that is not good. But it was not a real snake who did that. It was not a snake that plotted to crucify Jesus Christ. It was not a snake that asked for the head of John the Baptist on a platter. It was not a snake that voted to make Alan Shastney political leader of the UWP. And it was not a snake that voted him as Prime Minister of St. Lucia. It was not a snake that told Prime Minister to choose Ms. Girodi to replace Mr. King. It was not a snake that made King leave the UWP and join the Labour Party. So please, it was not a snake. It was one, all of those things can be blamed on one of God's highest creation. And to come back to the word that you asked earlier, only men can plot and plan to destroy each other, to destroy the world, to destroy their friends sometimes. Only man can do that.
Yes, sir.
So when we are looking for action of people in politics who plotted and planned, it's no snake.
Yeah.
It is man.
I agree.
And a man can be a metaphor for a snake, and snake, because the snake crawls quietly. It is on the ground. And Jesus had warned us about the snake. It's always on the ground. But the snake will not attack you unless it feels that it's being attacked or it is in danger. The snake doesn't kill for pleasure. The only animal that kills for pleasure is the highest one God is supposed to have created. That is man.
Yes. Yes.
Only man kills for pleasure.
Yep.
Only man gets jealous of other men, jealous of what they are wearing, the pair of glasses they have on their face, the wives or women that they have. Only man. A dog will not get jealous. A dog will protect the master if it feels that the master is being attacked by somebody else.
Yeah.
And it will pretend that it likes the wife, especially the little poodles. But animals do not plan and plot to destroy each other. So please, do not disgrace the snake by putting it into the category as if it is the one in King's Head. That's not true.
I agree.
It is men like himself and his own devious conscience, his own lack of integrity, his own plotting and planning for 5 years
5 years.
that has him where he is today. And he will end up in the political cemetery.
Yeah.
I say so, and I repeat it today. And a word to Jenin Girodi McIntyre. None of what is happening to you, my dear young mistress Jenin Girodi McIntyre, none of what is happening to you right now is of your own making or creation. To begin with, you do not make yourself, neither did you choose your parents. Secondly, you did not appoint yourself as president of the St. Lucia Senate. Thirdly, you did not make or cause Stevenson King to leave the UWP and join the SLP. 4, you did not appoint yourself caretaker of the Castries North constituency. 5, if you know these things, then you must also know that you must trust in the great I Am, the mighty God, Jehovah, above all other, to lead you to the next place where God wants you. Your constituency will help you by voting for you. Your prime minister and colleagues will help you by supporting you.
That's right.
But it's the guiding hand of the great I Am that will lead you where he wants you. I simply implore you to stay humble and to speak the truth at all times, which in my experience of 40 years in politics, and as I said to everybody, I have nothing to hide about my age. On the 26th of September this year, I'll be 80 years old.
Wow.
So I'm no spring. I'm no spring chicken.
That's right.
And I've been in politics. I continue to write about politics for my book. I continue to study and listen and watch. So I believe I'm in a position to give a young woman or a young man
Guidance.
like Ms. Girodi some advice.
Yes, I
For you
agree.
to take it or not take it it's neither here nor there with me if you take it or don't take it.
Yeah,
But I feel I owe it
Yes.
to my country. This is not me and UWP. This is me and my country, because I think the country is in good hands, and I would like to see Ms. Girodi continue the work for the people of Castries North. Also, I want to add that Sir John Compton left his sick bed to remove Rufus Bousquet from his government. No sooner had Compton died, Stephenson King, whom he chose to replace him, had Bousquet back in the government. If you had any respect for John Compton, the man who groomed you, he and Girodi, who made you who you are, who appointed you as Prime Minister, the man, you know the man didn't want Bousquet, and you knew why. But you see, Bousquet was bending in a certain direction, as we all know by now, away from what was there diplomatically between China and Taiwan.
Yeah.
You, as soon as the same man who took you as a little boy from Girodi's office, made you a candidate, made you a minister of health, made you a minister of different positions, as soon as he died, you reinstated Rufus.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
But that alone exposes the character and the integrity of this man. But not only that, people talk about the Super 8, and Rick refers to them in his book, Lapses and Infelicities.
Infelicities, yes.
Rick was recording these things for the Star newspaper, and obviously took it from the Star and put in the book. A lot of the details of these things are true, but I do not know that there has been a complete analysis of that period between the time when Sir John was sick, when King replaced him, and what happened afterwards. For you to understand, people who are listening to me, that the UWP is stronger and cleaner today, and the last stroke that was remaining to remove the disease part of that party from it has finally been done. Because of Sir John, Bousquet was removed. So people of St. Lucia, including UWPs, know this guy was not doing what Sir John wanted. And Sir John has been described as Papa Flambeau, Papa Saint-Lucie, father of the nation. Marcus Nicholas, whose grandfather I have been led to believe many, many years ago, from the valley, the Denry Valley, was one of John Compton's most loyal supporters. He went his own way because Marcus himself got too ambitious for his own good. Keith Mondesi, likewise, the guy who was taken to court by the former government of the SLP for ordering things for his small hotel and having these things at his home. Scandalous. So much so that I understand that the government at the time intimated that Alan Chasney was supporting this, and he was just as bad as Mondesi. It turned out not to be completely true. So that is 3. And we have the grandfather of all of them.
Which one is that?
You know that is why you lost the elections in 2011.
Yes, that's right.
Because you will not drop these people. And I'll never forget. I know, and I know the reasons, but I can't say the reasons.
Okay.
Why HTS has always bent towards the Anthony administration, although the family of both the people who started HTS were very, very close to Sir John. But there was a matter which Sir John did not want to take on his own. I'm not prepared to go into it. I know it because of contacts and friends that I have in certain high places. And that happened a long time ago, and there's no point in resuscitating that right now.
Yeah.
But I listened to HTS carry on analysis as they said. They interviewed people on why the UWP lost the elections of that
2011.
year, 2011. And 75% of the people they interviewed said they were certain it's because Mr. King had Frederick on his team. It is known. And you know what is interesting? Up to now, you, Champagne, have videos right here of the former leader of the government of the St. Lucia Labour Party making remarks, negative remarks about Frederick, asking him to stay in his
Section.
say in the section. And one statement I found very damning. He didn't call any names, but we live in a 2x4 little island.
Yeah.
You can't drive 100 miles in any one direction unless you fall in the sea. You understand? Anthony has made some statements on television to imply things that I, myself, who am not a lawyer, I'm not going to repeat here.
Yeah.
But I never forget the day the two of them met, that is King and Frederick, after a parliamentary session, right upstairs there. You know what I know, you know that you don't know.
Yeah.
That is talk for people who want to understand. That is loyally talk to say that, boy, you better be careful, because as Prime Minister, I'm up to your game. I'm up to your game. But
can I have this? I want to go through it a little later.
But nothing has changed. And the game continues.
I want to...
and the last thing I want to say,
yeah.
and this is very parochial, this is very local. I'm getting into the local politics. I don't want to go down in the gutter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll repeat it let me say it in English first, and I'll say it in Creole. The people who are listening to me, people of St. Lucia, have you ever heard any UWP person refer to King as Sousé, or any Labour person call him a Sousé, or any UWP call Von Sousé, or call Morello Joseph Sousé? Si c'était Labour qui était, si c'était un monde Labour qui quittait, qui join Flambeau, il y a plus gros Sousé sur la terre.
No, yeah.
Yo qui connaît plus Sousé, Jean Labour. Dès pour quitter Labour, écoute, join, ou pas même ni pour join un rien, ou sans Sousé. Mais tout ça qui quitte Flambeau, qui join Labour, you are welcome.
Yeah.
So Labour c'est la mer.
Oui.
La mer, il y a un monde qui a jeté ça depuis longtemps avec ma mère par refusé. Hein? Labour pas la mer.
You read a line there, and all of us know of it, but it just rang a bell as you just read it. In the point that Sojourn fired Rufus Bousquet.
He left his sick bed.
Yes.
He didn't just fire
Yes.
him, you know. Sir
Yes.
John was not well.
That's right.
So
He
you
came
must
down.
make that point.
That is right. He was not well at the time.
He was not well at
I
the
want
time.
to dwell on that because you brought up that, and that just rang a bell. But immediately, as Stephenson King was sworn in as Prime Minister, he reinstated him.
Sir John was not around.
What do you say? You know, Sir Michael, I am sensing, I may be wrong, that you don't want to dwell too much into this happening. So I will leave you out of it if you don't want to.
I appreciate your concern,
Yes.
because basically the current Prime Minister has said very little
He has said little,
about
yeah.
Mr. King.
Not too much, yes.
Mr. King has gone on about 5 shows in the last 2 days.
Yes.
He has said his piece. We're going to let the St. Lucian public
Deal with
digest what went on between himself and the
Yes.
Prime Minister.
Okay.
And as the father of the Prime Minister, I feel it is just dignified on my part to let someone else discuss
Okay.
that.
All right.
Yeah.
I respect
Yeah,
that.
we have
I respect that. Okay, so
we have
we're going.
decided that.
Yes, so
So
let's
that
do
is
that.
why I said today,
Yes.
I am going to speak on behalf of the Prime Minister,
Yeah.
and on behalf of Jenin as much as I can, and on behalf of the people of St. Lucia.
But I will say one thing before we move on, and I respect the fact that we should not talk about it on this show. But seeing me sitting here for the last couple of months,
Sir Michael should not talk about it, not
yes,
we.
right.
So Michael can only speak for himself, you know. He can't speak for me. or
I
for
understand.
you.
I understand.
Thank you.
Yeah, but seeing me sitting here for the last couple of months with two honorable men, and this afternoon the news comes out that Champagne was shoplifting at Marcy supermarket, and he was thrown in prison. That's not going to be something about you and Mr. Josie. That's on me. And if you have another program here, you will show your disgust. You may show a little sympathy, Champagne, why did Champagne? But you will also show your disgust. When people do wrong things or bad things to people, doesn't matter who that individual is, some people need to call a spade a spade.
Yes, and there's one proviso, a caveat to add to that, Champagne. And even when you call a spade,
Yes,
in my humble opinion again, and I said I'm no spring chicken,
yes.
you must find it within you, if you call yourself a Christian, to forgive.
Anyway,
You have to be able to let go. So, as Sir Michael said, Mr. King will not be the last.
no.
He will not be
Yeah.
the last. But you know the thing that really irks me about what Stevenson King did is the length of time he kept this thing
Yeah.
in it.
Plotting.
My God.
Plotting.
That thing must have rotten inside of me.
Plotting.
Stevenson King can't live much longer after
Plotting.
that. I'm not God, but
Yeah.
you have this thing. And today, this morning, I saw on my phone him making a speech in Parliament supporting the people.
The airport. Can you believe
airport.
it? I played it just now, a minute
But
ago.
Champagne is the most natural thing to do.
Yeah.
The former government wanted to give the airport at Viewfort for 30 years,
Yeah,
my
just
God.
give it away.
30 years.
Yeah.
But you know why? Again, I've lived long enough. I've seen and discussed with people from the Middle East and people who are in the money-making business. These guys, all they think about every single day, Champagne, is money and how to maneuver to make more money.
Yeah,
And the more money they have, the more
Yeah,
they want.
the more they want,
And
yeah.
one of the things I like and admire about them, I must also say that, they pay for what they want.
Right.
If you are a minister and the guy wants something and he's from anywhere in the Middle East, well, not only in the Middle East, but mostly people associated with big money, these guys are going to offer you something to sweeten the
Something
deal.
you cannot refuse.
That's how it's called.
Yeah.
To sweeten the deal.
Yeah.
That you will get something out of giving them $1 million, they will give you a few $1,000s.
Yes, it always
understand?
happens. Anyway, we're going to go. We saw something. We're going to go to your clips in
Yes.
just about 2 minutes.
Yes.
But we saw something. I would like if you could explain it to us. An independent labor. How could you address that, Sir Michael? I know independent. The word independent means you're on your own, basically.
Right.
But here we're seeing that Richard Frederick says he's running as an independent labor. Is there anything in that regard? Is there such a thing?
Champagne, let me tell you something. You see 3 of us here? We are not 3 children.
That is
We are
true.
3 grown men.
That is right.
Okay? We have sat here for how long now, Champagne?
Over a year, I think, by now, almost.
We have exchanged our ideas with the public of St. Lucia. We have contributed towards what we know, and nobody can pull the wool over our eyes today.
Right.
We know exactly what. As the Prime Minister said, this was the worst kept secret.
Yes, it was.
I repeat, the worst kept secret.
Indeed.
So, we know what was going on, okay? And we know which direction Richard Frederick is heading. We know what the plot is. Can I have that little paper I gave you there?
Yeah.
This is something that happened many years ago within the government service when my brother was an engineer.
Right.
And a Jamaican guy who was to come to St. Lucia to do something very important got out of the country, and here his words to my brother. It is a pity that a plan so well engineered could have failed by a turn of fate. I'm going to explain that. Although I said I'm not going to
Yeah.
trespass on Mr. King, but Mr. King said yesterday that the biggest shock to him was the United Workers' Party taking on board Janine Drudy McIntyre.
Yeah.
And I can understand why he said that, because Mr. King knows very well the relationship he had between Mr. Drudy, deceased Mr. Drudy, who groomed him in several ways, despite what he may have said. All his legal background, I know for a fact that they were very close, because Flosac and Drudy, the firm, were my lawyers for over 20 years. I had a personal relationship. So I spent hours and hours and hours at that office, and I met Stevenson King there as a young man. On that score, I say no more. But Mr. Josie has said so much already. I think the public, Central public, have understood
Yes.
where he's going.
Yes.
And to answer your question, I go back to my speech. It is a pity that a plan so well engineered could have failed by two. That means Nobody expected Mr. Jodi's daughter to be the chosen one to compete against him. There's no better candidate. And I can tell you for a fact that Mr. King is really very nervous about the introduction of this young lady into the political arena. She's qualified, she's articulate, and she can do a hell of a lot for the party. And I'm not making any prediction because Mr. King is a seasoned politician, but he has to be very careful of what the outcome is going to be.
Were you disgusted, disappointed with the news? How were you? What was your sense?
So, come again?
Were you disgusted with the breaking of the news with Mr. King, or you were disappointed, disgusted? How you felt when you heard the news of him departing from the UWP?
I was very saddened. Although, Champagne, I've been with you, and we knew what was happening. Okay? We saw very clearly the behavior of Mr. King over the last year or two in particular. Okay? But it's very sad because evidently what has transpired is very simple. Mr. King was the Prime Minister of the country. He was democratically removed from power, okay? Not from power, from the position. And, as Peter said a while ago, the Lord is very powerful. He does certain things in life, and He puts somebody there. I'll tell you quite frankly, and I've told you before, Champagne, that when Alan Shastey entered the political arena, I could not see him unseating Kenny Anthony.
You could not?
Because I could not see. You told me so.
I did. I told you.
And I didn't agree with you. I didn't believe you.
You did not.
Because I understood the grasp that Kenny Anthony had on the St. Lucian public. He was admired in many respects, okay? And despite the fact that he did not come up with all the answers, there was still a certain amount, I don't know what word to use other than support given to him. And I saw it as a very difficult. But the fact that in such a short space of time that Alan Shastey entered the political arena and did what he did, it sent a clear message to me that the country was ready to make a change if the right person came along.
Yes, indeed.
And that is what you told me.
I did tell you, yes.
Right? And you told me so umpteen times.
A long time ago.
I told you so. Champagne, I don't believe you. Remember that?
I remember.
We had conversations at the airport. When I'm leaving and coming, you always came and whispered that. I never believed you.
I know. I had the vision.
Champagne, Sir Michael didn't know anything about politics.
He knew.
And
I agree.
And maybe it's a good thing he's not speaking today because he might actually not speak properly in his son's favor. But Sir Michael and Champagne and people listening, there is one truism about politics. The same thousands of people you see in front of your platform at your final meeting or meeting coming soon up, before elections, the same people that are there coming to vote for you, within 6 months, you make one serious blunder that affects their lives. These people are gone,
Oh, yeah.
And that is true not only about St. Lucia, it's true about all politics where people vote for, have the freedom to vote. The only place it doesn't happen is when, people, whether you vote or not,
And this is to show, it is to give us a clear indication that the people supports their party and not the candidate most of the time. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, but the people also live in the country. And if they are suffering, they will not suffer because of parties.
Because of one individual too sometimes.
Exactly, that is the point. You cannot put, there's nobody in St. Lucia, no matter what they tell you, there's nobody in Castries North right now that puts Stevenson King before themselves. Nobody.
No one. I agree.
They don't know where their lunch coming from, where their dinner coming from, where their breakfast coming from, and they're talking nonsense about Stevenson King.
Yes.
Nobody is doing that. Maybe they used to do that 100 years ago.
But not now. Not anymore.
Not now. People are seeing after themselves, their children. Everybody wants their children to go to school. Everybody looking for a scholarship to send their children forward. If they can become a doctor. The number of young girls, I call them girls, Lord, sorry.
Ladies.
Young women.
Women, yes.
Who are doctors in St. Lucia today. You know the number of young men who are qualified in the law, in medicine, and in different things in agriculture?
Yes, sir.
A lot of these people have been able to get scholarships to Cuba, to different parts of the world, and are helped by politicians. And that is something they expect from politicians. Most people don't expect politicians to give them food every day or anything like that. So if you cannot give them the help for their children, and they have a right. They have a right to support their children because the children is the future, are the future. You understand?
Yes, sir.
The children are the future. So there's nobody in Castries North who will vote for King if they're strong UWP.
I agree with that.
King can no longer help them.
No.
And they will not put King before themselves because as far as they're concerned, they are smart enough to know that Stephenson King, after 30 odd years in government and things, is not living as a pauper. You understand? Stephenson King, we don't know his business, can buy his lunch, can pay for his dinner. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you made a valid point there when you said that no longer will Stephenson King be able to help the people of Castries North. Whatever development that was done in any constituency, the public need to understand that it was not personal funds. Apart from a few people like Guy Joseph goes out there and fix homes and stuff, it always comes down to the monies of the government. Right? Now, if Stephenson King is let's assume, God forbid, and I'm taking a wild shot there, that he wins the seat, but UWP wins the government, which they will. How much support can Stephenson King give? He may come to the ministers and ask for money, but the level of force he had when he was on the party is not the same as him being an independent.
Whichever side he takes, it will be the same thing.
Yeah.
If he wins with the Labour Party, and the Labour Party has a Labour Prime Minister, let's say Philip Pierre, Castries North, where Stephenson King will be made to suffer more than any other constituency.
I believe that.
Because you know why? The Labour Party's thinking will be, boy, you all fellas were there for so and and we didn't have time to help our constituency. Now we're doing that.
Yes,
so they will say, boy, Castries North is okay. Castries Central is okay, Richard, you don't need anything. If that is if Richard wins.
Take a wild guess, Brother Josie, of, I want to go, God forbid again, my goodness, I don't know why I keep doing that. The Labour Party gets into government. Where you believe that they would fit Stephenson King?
Let me tell you something. I don't take wild guesses. You know, my mind has been trained to analyze.
Yes.
To look at the situation, look at it from both sides.
Right.
That is why when you said if UWP wins and he is there, it will be difficult because he has to ask the ministers, whereas he was a minister in the same.
Exactly. Yes.
And I turned it around and said that if the Labour Party wins and he is there supporting them, they still will not help.
Well, that answers my question. That answers my question. That answers my question.
Because let me tell you something. You think Stephenson King is the only person that bear grudges for so long? These Labour fellas are worse than King in many ways, you know.
Oh yeah.
I was Papa Labour. I called myself the diamond in the star. I was prepared to die for the Labour Party. When it came my turn to contest against Julian Hunt, I didn't have any support. Chicken and fried chicken and fries and rum to give people. That's not why I came into politics. When they voted for Hunt at Labrie in '92, Lawson Cauldron and I, Rick Wayne was there, Seaton was there, and Pearson Emmanuel was there downstairs at the bar. And the thing they had reassembled and went upstairs, and Julian had already won. I said to Lawson, in Rick's presence, and Seaton's presence, and Pearson Emmanuel's presence, I said, Lawson, the politics just start. Let's go and congratulate Julian on his win. He's now political leader. Before we had reached halfway down the hall going down, Julian spied us. Where this fella's going? We don't want him in this party.
In the same party you just belonged 5 minutes ago? Huh?
Yeah.
My goodness.
And I just contested against him.
Yes. Yeah.
And boy, when the Beaufort people heard that, they said, Peter, nous avons quitté actuellement. There are 25 delegates there. Well, 20 delegates and 5 come forward. We are leaving now. Say, where are we going to? We're going to Girodian Compton. We're going to look for Girodian Compton. And we're going to join UWP now. I had to keep the fellas quiet. I say, guys, no, that's not how it is.
Well, Champagne, I think we need to proceed now.
Before we go into the clip, I want to ask you both one more question.
Sure.
We know rallies don't win elections.
We know
But rallies, motor rallies and public
Sure.
meetings. We know it doesn't win elections, but it helps to energize your base. It gives you that sense of we're ready, of readiness and and agility.
Yeah, that's what I said. It sent us.
When you saw this rally
Yes.
on Sunday, the biggest I've seen, I was here at the radio, but we kept watching it on TV, and it has been said from everyone that it is the biggest rally ever in St. Lucia. What came to mind? What you said, what came to your mind about this rally, seeing it on TV?
Well, when I saw the size of that rally, what resonated to me was, my goodness, these people have finally recognized what the United Workers' Party has done. And remember, that motorcade didn't just happen. It originated from every constituency.
Everyone.
So it told me that every MP in the constituency had done so much work that the people came out to, if I may say, to show their appreciation. That was what I read as an individual.
Yeah.
I'm still shocked what I saw, Sam.
Yes.
I cannot believe this. I know and I accept the fact that rallies don't win an election.
No.
But as I said in my preamble, that was a tacit sign of endorsement.
Yes, I agree. The same question, Mr. Peter.
Same thing as Champagne. My only concern was the coronavirus.
Yeah.
That was my only concern. But I had felt it in my heart, Champagne. I felt it in my heart that was a win coming for Adam Charleston and the UWP.
Yes.
But to see it materialize, because sometimes you feel the thing in your bones, I'll tell you something. When I was active in politics, I would walk down Jeremy Street, a time like that, elections come in, and I can know, not even my constituency, or Marshall Road, or Viewfort Commercial Street. I can walk down the street on a busy day and can tell you how the wind is blowing in my favor or against me.
Yeah.
Because people cannot help who they are. They will either call you or turn their head and pretend they don't see you. And depending on the number of people who pretend they don't see you, the more people who pretend they don't see you, the bigger the trouble you're in.
Yeah. All right. Our producers, GBD, we would like for you to put up our, what is it, a video, Sir Michael, or just some images?
Yes.
You did a video?
Yeah. Right. We have 3 videos now to show you. One is a statement by Rufus Bousquet.
Okay.
The second one is the hospital. And the third one is a film showing what this government has achieved.
All right, great.
Please roll.
All right, GBD, can you please put up the... All right, so this is...
Stephenson King's continued leadership of the United Workers' Party has been called into question since the party's defeat at the polls. The UWP has yet to announce a date for its next convention when the leadership issue will be settled. But former Foreign Minister Rufus Bousquet believes the party, which is now in opposition, has to look beyond its current leader Stephenson King and what it represents as a party.
Clearly the fact that we won in 2006 under Sir John tells you the tremendous influence that he had on the process. And it has to be something that they have to accept as a reality, that without Sir John, the United Workers' Party has failed to make any dent on the political landscape with any of the leaders subsequent to him, whether it was Vaughan Lewis or Morella Joseph or Stephenson King. And so they have to ask themselves, really, what is it that they need in terms of leadership? And does Stephenson King have it, or anybody else in the party have it, in order to take the party forward and for it to provide a meaningful challenge to the current administration?
Mr. Bousquet, who lost his Choiseul seat in the last election, says the local electorate has proven to be fickle, basing their political decisions on spurious matters that are irrelevant to their future well-being. In such an environment, he believes any party can survive with anyone at the helm, depending on how the individual is sold. In this regard, Mr. Bousquet believes that Stephenson King has to reinvent himself in a number of ways.
He has to look the part, he has to sound the part, he has to be more decisive, in terms of his decision making. He has to stand for something. I think as far as the electorate was concerned, you never felt his presence. He, in the past, in the time, or during the time that he was the leader of the party and then prime minister, he tended to be more of a parliamentary rep for his constituency and to take care of issues relating to his constituency. And I think he never stamped any real vision for the country or for the party. I don't think he did that.
As far as Mr. Busquet is concerned, the electorate did not buy into the UWP in the last elections. He says there was never a case in which they saw a strong, decisive individual standing before them and saying, "This is where I want to take St. Lucia. This is what I stand for. And I need your support." For the DBS News World, Pete Ninval reporting.
Right, so we're going to talk about this one for a little bit because I picked something out of this one. Brother Peter, I want to go to you.
Have you seen that before?
I have heard it, but I am not into that length.
Okay.
One of the statements there, he has to stand for something. It is telling you that this gentleman has not stood for anything. He is baseless. And that was a very strong statement.
One moment, Mr. Champion?
Yeah.
And that is a gentleman that he brought back into the party.
That is my point.
Okay, so in all fairness to Mr. Busquet, I've always said Mr. Busquet may have his faults. He's a very good speaker.
Very.
He's very articulate, and it's not because I'm enjoying what he said.
No.
But I think Mr. Busquet was very
was he honest?
to the point of what he saw.
Was
Mr.
he honest
Busquet
with the statement?
He's a very astute politician.
Yes, yes.
I say no more. You go ahead.
You think he was very honest, Brother Peter? He said what he felt, what he saw?
The point is that what Busquet said was true about every other person who wants to lead. You cannot want to be a leader and be weak and indecisive.
Right.
It's true about Stephenson King. It's true about everybody else who wants to be a political leader. Everybody who wants to be prime minister. You can't want to be my prime minister if you don't have the strength within you. You understand? If you don't have what it takes, you might be ambitious.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think Shakespeare said it very well. The words don't come to my mind right away. But it takes more than just flowery speeches and nice thing and moving around like a big roller to be prime minister.
He was
and
also saying...
Busquet was right on target.
Yeah.
He's correct.
He was telling you that Mr. King had no direction for the country.
Champion, last night I saw a tape, I don't know, somebody's show, where Mr. King, in one of his speeches, he genuinely said to the public that when he was in the United Workers' Party, the people whom he wanted to emulate are the people who put people first, and that, like opening a standpipe, going to a football field. And he said the party has changed. But he is right, the party has changed.
Yeah.
You cannot do 30 years ago, you cannot do today what you were doing. It doesn't work. As I said in my preamble, even the climate has changed.
Everything has
You have
changed.
climate change.
Yes, sir.
That is the #1 topic in the world today. Everything has changed. You cannot have old ideas. You have a population that are getting more and more educated. You have to get better jobs. And this is what the current Prime Minister is trying to say. He's not going to do a standpipe. He's bringing a call center to St. Lucia. He's elevating the work structure of the public. And I think that when Mr. King says that he didn't recognize the party, he is right.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah.
Because he's lost track of what is going
What
on.
is happening.
He's thinking of 30 years
and,
ago.
and he was too focused on plotting.
Yeah,
I
this is what
say.
Mr. Busquet is telling you.
Yeah.
He didn't have what it took to continue. And he was right. And that's why he lost the election.
Yeah.
But,
I
but
think
there's a white elephant in the room. I don't listen to radio outside of this, unfortunately. I listen to television.
yeah.
There's a white elephant in the room that nobody I know has tackled. And it needs to be tackled. Somebody has to say it. I always put myself like the Apostle Peter in the Bible. He was always questioning, always volunteering, always speaking out first. Okay? although he is alleged to have denied he knew Christ at the crucifixion, at the time when the crucifixion came, yet Christ turned and made him the head of his church. You know what the white elephant in the room is? You cannot be prime minister if you don't have a modicum of training at some tertiary institution, some learning, some understanding of what politics is, what economics is, what the sociology is. You have to have a course of training with renowned people who can explain these things to you, who teach you how to think logically, to teach you how to think to the point when a person is speaking and the person wishes to change direction. Sometimes they're not even aware they're changing direction. They will swallow saliva or hesitate or clear their throat, something. They will give a hint or a sign, and then they digress and divert into something else. You must be sufficiently well trained and alert to know when this person is making that division. And you cannot falter when you are listening. You have to focus 100%. We St. Lucians have one problem. Our listening time, we are very impatient. We don't listen, you know. We have a very short attention span. And so
correct. Very short
attention span. And so that is part of the problem we face. And that is why somebody who really is not qualified to be a prime minister can emerge as prime minister. People don't mention Lansico in these things at all. In my humble opinion, although Lansico didn't attain university level of any high degree, but the amount of training he did with Rotary and not Rotary, JCs and people like that, the amount of travel he did and the courses he took with cable and wireless alone, travel to England and things. So the things that Romanus Lansico would have picked up was never picked up by people like Stevenson King. So people don't mention Romanus anymore, as if we have forgotten. But when you're analyzing the situation, all of these things must come to your attention. And because they could not control Lansico as much as they could control the nice little woolly-poly boy they picked up from Gironi's office. That was one of the main advantages Stevenson King had.
Yeah. I just believe Mr. Bousquet's statement was very honest. You could see the sincerity in it.
When I saw that statement, you know, I mean, it could not have come out at a more appropriate time.
Okay, can we get our clip number 2, please? You wanted to say something else?
Yeah, no.
Okay, can we get footage number 2, please? Yeah, okay, while we wait.
Yeah. Footage number 2 is coming up, and I think it's to do with the St. Jude Hospital, and I want to make a slight comment on that. I heard Mr. Frederick say a couple...
GBD, can we get the St. Jude's, please, the St. Jude's footage?
Said that the United Workers' Party built a box. That's what he said.
Who said that?
Yeah, Frederick.
He built a box?
Yeah, built a box. Now, and I just want...
This is such an ignorant statement, huh?
Just to bring up to St. Lucians what has gone on. When you look at the design of that hospital, that design came from top-class persons.
Look,
okay?
This is a box?
Yeah. He said that just a box. You know, right now, because the flashing had not gone into the roof and some water dripped down, they made a big hullabaloo about it, okay? Yeah. Now, look at the situation. Those windows, Champagne, should have been here in 90 days when they were ordered. They took 9 months to get to St. Lucia because of COVID. Look at all the windows in now. And just a matter of concreting the front area. And again, I heard it, Guy Joseph, on your show.
Right.
Part of the problem, this is a tremendous facility.
It is.
Okay? This is not fly-by-night. And the size of the cabinet for controlling the electricity had to be made specifications. We have one of the top St. Lucians, Dr. Somebody, who's in charge of the electrical works down there, okay? Who's a very capable individual. And it has taken the same way it has taken months to get. That was part of the delay, to get the whole electrical cabinet, to control the whole electrical system. So I say to St. Lucia, in the next couple of months, as all the equipment comes in, this is an international hospital.
It is an international hospital.
And remember, That's just a stone throw away from an international airport. When the terminal is finished, and you have this hospital, you have that terminal, and then you also have the cruise ship terminal, where you have thousands of people within that area. You want facilities to accommodate a problem that can occur.
Yes.
So we say kudos to the government for that. Now, camera crew, I would like you to exhibit the tape of what was done, the achievements in St. Lucia. Please roll.
Our island, Ianola, forged under pressure. Nations battled for her honor, yet she emerged as the jewel of the Caribbean, the envy of many. A people strong, resilient, creative, diligent, and pioneering. Together we continue aspiring to new heights. A people deserving of no less than an environment in which to thrive, to work, to earn, to play, to learn in our pursuit of excellence in this place we call home. Deserving too, no less than strong leadership. The past 5 years have been testament of this. Leaders and people working together to build a new St. Lucia, with leadership based on a strong vision, showing, leading, encouraging our people to aspire to greatness as one St. Lucian family. Through creative economic policies, projects, investments, and interventions, much progress has been made and assurances unfold. With Alan Michael Shastney, along with a dedicated team of the United Workers' Party at the helm, a new St. Lucia is emerging. A new St. Lucia that adapts to the demands and challenges of today's global village. A new St. Lucia that forges ahead despite the uncertainties of tomorrow. 2016 saw the commencement and maintenance of an upward trajectory and positive economic growth, with decreased unemployment as more job opportunities were created. The largest investments in infrastructural development and capital projects commenced. Record stayover arrivals in tourism. Record cruise ship arrivals. Creative arts benefiting from the investments in the summer festivals. St. Lucia Jazz, Carnival, Roots and Soul, and Creole Heritage Month. Artists and athletes excelling on the international stage like never before. Our pride has been restored as greater emphasis was placed on the national festivals and events, including our annual Independence Anniversary celebrations, which underscores our patriotism. Young entrepreneurs flourished through the support and interventions of the Small Business Development Center in the Ministry of Commerce, Invest St. Lucia, and Export St. Lucia. There was diversification in our agricultural sector that saw the export of non-traditional crops. And no longer do vendors and farmers have to endure the elements as they trade the produce from our farmers, as they now boast new market facilities. Our children are being better prepared to engage in the advances of ICT in education and e-learning with the provision of not only e-devices, but the necessary training, software, hardware, and connectivity. We have witnessed the largest investment in school infrastructural work. The most extensive island-wide road improvement project network ever has been delivered. A modern road network for our farmers to transport their goods, for our people to have better access to essential services and jobs, for our children to have ease of movement to and from school, for emergency vehicles to better respond to our needs, and so much more. In improvements to Port Castries, with port redevelopments due for Vieux-Fort in the south, as well as the Uonora International Airport redevelopment project. It is said that difficult times draw us together and brings out the best in us. This past year has done just that, as we continue to battle the impact of the global pandemic brought on by COVID-19. We have seen our resources dwindle and a decline in GDP as all sectors, including tourism, have been affected. Undaunted, we press on with stellar leadership from our Prime Minister, his team, and our frontline workers. Support has been provided to the various sectors through the economic relief programs aimed at caring for the most vulnerable among us and providing relief to those who are now unemployed. Short and medium-term strategies have also been implemented aimed at getting the wheels of the economy moving again. Our government has made significant investments in healthcare, transitioning to OKEU, transforming Victoria Hospital, and making significant progress on the St. Jude's Hospital. While staring clear of the daunting cliffs of despair, this government continues to guide Fair Helen to safer shores. The work has only just begun as we continue to build a new St. Lucia, one that is stronger and better. St. Lucia, a resilient nation, stronger, better with the United Workers' Party. Let's keep working together for you, for me, for all of us.
Yes, sir. Yeah, very good stuff.
Pictures so 1,000 words.
All the time. All the time. I want to go back to the St. Jude's Hospital.
Yeah.
And you said that Richard Frederick said it's a box.
Yeah.
I'm calling on Richard Frederick to go online, go to YouTube, and Google hospitals. Almost all of the hospitals are designed in that same shape. Mount Sinai, one of the biggest and best hospitals in Florida. You go to Washington Hospital, you go to London Hospital, all of them are built. A hospital is not a hotel, you know. A hospital is not a hotel. A hospital is a facility that furnishes, puts equipment in there to make people better or to get people better.
Champagne.
This is not a luxurious place.
Richard Frederick is a classless individual, okay, who has no idea of anything other than we know what, okay? And I say no more. Now, let me say something about this gentleman. His claim to fame has been the little huts he's put up on the sidewalks in Castro.
Which should be removed in my mind.
Correct. Because what he has created is a ghetto in the city. That's what he's done. But that's all he knows. That's how he's been brought up, okay? He's a classless individual that cannot raise the standard of St. Lucia.
No.
He cannot raise it. That hospital is beyond his comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't understand what class is.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand.
This is
he
class.
doesn't understand what a call center is. He does not understand what a five-star hotel is today.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand the importance of sending 2,000 St. Lucians aboard the cruise ships. He doesn't understand the importance of educating those individuals, which is what the current administration did. Educate the boys how to do certain jobs on board a ship and educate themselves.
Yeah.
Okay? This is what goes on. And it is very unfortunate that there are some persons in the community that would actually believe him. Okay? We have to grow Champagne. When you take, for instance, even Victoria Hospital that was built over 100 years ago, when it was built, it was what it was. It served its purpose. Okay? When the European Union came here and designed the OKEU, look at what they designed. It may have had its problem, but it's a lovely hospital.
Yeah.
Okay? It has changed the whole modus operandi of the health stand. The Prime Minister is now at the final stage of giving people health care. Okay? Has Richard Edford ever thought about that? He's too busy making $1 on the side. Okay? That is his problem. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on this gentleman.
No.
But when you go to criticize a hospital like that
Class.
hospital was brought away.
World
That
class.
was well designed by individuals who explained to the Prime Minister that you're building a hospital for the next 100 years.
And it's not finished, huh?
And it's not.
It's not finished. You know, outside of the vendors or the shop owners
Without
downtown.
cutting you short, here's a comparison that he made. He said that Reno Gajala built a 60-bedroom hospital in Dominica. for $32 million. That's what he said. Okay. I saw a picture of the hospital. Okay. There's no comparison between the two hospitals. You're not going to compare the hospital on the side in a district in Dominica with a place with an international airport. Okay, that's going on. But that shows the ignorance of Richard Frederick, the ignorance of the man, the stupidity of him. Yeah.
Outside of those, the vendors and the shop owners with those huts in town, I would have taken that out a long time ago. Now listen to me, I want to choose my words well, because people always say, oh, the Mali, we have to make a bread. I respect that the shop owners and the vendors have to survive. But those little huts, as I call them, those wooden huts around Castries,
you know where they
was
should have
not
been?
an upliftment for Castries.
Correct.
Never.
And where they should have been, I'm not trying to decry the people. You take an area, just like the Prime Minister has done with the tea village.
Yes, in Grozile, yes.
You pick an area, right? And you put the facilities, you put the toilet and everything else. They put, for instance, on the Chaussee Road, there was some extra land there that by the
gardens you're talking? No?
You know where we had the hospital on Chaussee Road. What do you call it again? You know, on Chaussee Road.
You're talking about the planning, family planning, that area there?
For the poor.
Yeah?
Did for the poor many years ago.
Yeah, you know where on Chaussee Road.
Where they have that thing for
where
Derek
had
Walker.
A dispensary. The government had a facility there. What's it called?
We're talking about the Castries Health Center. Is that area?
Yeah,
Is that area there?
Yeah. You know, you could have taken an area like that, fixed it up nicely, like what the Prime Minister did, put in toilet facilities, concrete it nicely, and give the people their stalls. But you don't go and take those things and put on a sidewalk.
On a sidewalk.
I once asked Dr. Anthony that question directly. I said, Dr. Anthony, because they built some things like that by the customs, you know where the fellows have.
Yes, exactly. All
And
these
I
should
said,
be
look at me. What is a sidewalk? He didn't answer. He said, that's not a great question. I said, well, answer it. A sidewalk is a side to walk on.
Simple.
That's very simple. It's
Simple.
a side. So when you go and block the sidewalk,
Yeah.
where the people going to walk?
And we have a perfect example of that right there on Jeremy Street,
Precisely.
where the vendors have taken over the sidewalks
Yeah.
there. And the school children now have to walk into the street
Yeah.
to get to
You
school.
go to any civilized country, people don't build these things on sidewalks,
Yeah.
Champagne.
Yeah.
A sidewalk is for people to walk on, to get away from the traffic, so they won't get knocked down.
Is either you have it a wide sidewalk, like when you go to New York City, certain parts
Where you
of
can do
Jamaica, you have it, the sidewalk is so huge
Yes.
that there are vendors
Precisely.
there, and then you still have adequate
Precisely.
space where you could walk
Precisely.
on. You know, but not those little sidewalks we have in Castries.
The Prime Minister has been fighting. When was he in election? When was the Prime Minister in charge of tourism? Under the
In 91, 92. Under Stephen King
yeah.
was
I
about
think it was
2008 there, about
2008?
2008, 7 there, about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since then, I remember the Prime Minister took me one day and said that I want to take you down and show you why we knew. He said, I know you're going to fight me, but I'm going to take. And when he went down, he told me, said, since then, the man has been preaching that we want an international airport. And I'm not going to go back in that. He put money aside. Kenny Anthony blew it by letting the airlines take $250 million
and
when we could have
disappear
had
with
the airport.
Yeah.
The man got the plans done by American Airlines for free.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
Okay? And look at it. But finally, by God's grace, the Prime Minister is getting his way.
Yeah. Brother Josie, what kind of a solution would criticize a facility like a hospital for his own country?
Let me say something to you and to your listeners. When an experienced person who fears God, who prays, and who truly believes, when you look at Richard Frederick, you see someone who is not thinking right, who is tormented. And you know what? Now I see Stevenson King as a parallel. So although I have said repeatedly that when people make stupid political statements, it's like a cricket match, a T20 match. You hit them for 6 over the boundary. But in the case of people like Richard, I wouldn't waste my time with Richard. Richard has been such a disappointment and a waste. You just take a look at Richard's face.
Yeah.
Just take a look at his face. He's almost getting disfigured in our very presence. And it has nothing to do with his physical part.
Someone
it has
called
to do
me.
with his spirit. His spirit is not right. The spirit within him is troubling him, is in torment, is in turmoil. And the same thing is happening to Simpson King now, unfortunately.
Someone said to me, Champagne, what is happening to your friend? I said, who's that? And I met that person on the street. I said, who's that? He said, Richard. I said, what you mean? He said, do you see his face when he's on the program? I said, no, I have not seen his face on the program. I don't watch his program.
Well, you must look at his face.
Listen, I had more than one person brought that same thing up to me. I'm saying, but what is wrong with the man's face?
I never.
Someone
never
said,
so,
and you, no, I've never said that in your presence, no.
But I know that's what it is.
One individual even said to me that the man has a horn. I'm like, so I laughed at it a lot, and I really, really laughed at it. I said, what do you mean a horn? He said, yes, Champagne, you must take a look. I never take the time out
It
to.
look like he has a little horn growing on his head. In truth,
I'm telling you, two people brought that to my attention, but I never took the time. You know, I laughed at it a lot, and now I'm hearing you saying that about the facial expression.
As a rule, I don't watch Richard Frederick's program. I don't look at other people. I have nothing. Occasionally, if I'm going through the channels, right, and I happen and he's saying something, I wait until he's finished the statement he's making.
Yeah.
And I realize it's the same old. But then I take that opportunity to look at his face.
Yeah.
Because
people told me that.
And his eyes. And that is the reflection of the turmoil. And that is the thing, you know, when people say you look well, you know what they're saying to you? Like your soul is in repose, is at peace. Your heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
Your mind is not angry or in turmoil. That you're doing the things that are right. You're not rushing after anything. And you thank God every day for what you have for another day of life.
Yeah. Anyway, so
people who do that are usually very calm and composed, even when they're in politics.
Yeah. Okay, Sanusha, we will turn on the phone lines in 10 minutes, but let me ask Michael a question that is deep. So, Michael, say to Sanusha.
I'm not cutting you short. I just got a text that they're not getting the TV. It's not.
This is an everyday thing.
If you could just mention that.
This is everyday. GVD, we are not getting you out. The listeners
for the last
viewers
15 minutes.
I've not seen anything on the TV, and this has been an ongoing situation, so I'm really not even going down there.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
What are you going to say? Tell the St. Lucian people why they should vote again. We all know it, but tell the people, coming out from your own mouth, why they should vote for this government, the UWB government, back into office.
Why they should vote.
Why they should to re-elect this current government.
Well, Champagne, it's very clear. You just have to reflect on what the government has done. The policies they have created.
Yes.
The progress this country has made, okay, over the last 5 years. I mean, really, the infrastructure. When you see all these things, how can one really deny? I mean, when the Labour Party and others say that nothing has been done, nothing has been done. I heard a gentleman call on your show a couple of days ago. Are these people crazy? I mean, you drive around, you see what's happening. So to answer your question, the government has worked, Champagne. It has produced. That's what they were put there for. I would like to hear Mr. Josie's contribution as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, well, we dealt with that earlier when you said that people can hear what's happening. I told you they can also see.
Yeah.
But Champagne, you know what? Sometimes, well, not sometimes, a lot of times people don't think for themselves. They allow other people to think for them. You know, so they pick up things on the radio, on television, maybe at a public meeting sometimes. And without thinking about it, they go and repeat it because they don't have the ability to process the thing, to turn it around, turn it upside down. When you're looking at an idea, you know, you have to turn it around in your head at all different angles. You cannot look at it, sit in one place and not let your mind wander all over the angles of what the person has said and adding and subtracting your own thing to see how it will turn out. That is how people who have been trained. And unfortunately, most of our St. Lucian people still have not had the benefit of education and have not had the benefit of schooling. Some of them just go by pure instinct. Some of them can see the number of vehicles. They can see the increase in traffic. There's hardly a flat truck anywhere that's not at work because of the number of road work that is going on. They are not even criticizing the government now. Long time they used to say, well, once election come in,
exactly.
But the roads have been in process for so long that they don't even bother to say that because they know they'll be telling a lie. So the road works are continuing, all the different things are continuing. And you know what is nicest about this government, in my humble opinion? Every constituency has benefited.
Everyone.
Every constituency. I never thought I would live long enough to see a day when a hotel is going up on the shores of Ansari.
Can you believe it?
You know, I never knew that I would live. In fact, I want to go down there just to see the cocoa factory at Canaries.
Yes.
Pass through Ansari first, obviously.
Yeah.
I never thought I would live to see the day because I've written articles on critical of the from the Sir John government time because of my agricultural background.
Camera crew, don't forget the normal one that we have to play. We were just talking about the individual. Camera crew. The television is back. The people now.
Okay, so we're back on TV. It freezes for a little while every once in a while with this.
Yeah, it comes and
goes. It comes and goes.
But you know, I was listening to yourself and Peter when you talk about Richard's face on television.
Yeah, someone said
I concur to that.
So
when
you
I
have
look
seen
at that gentleman, okay, perspiring from head to toe.
In an air-conditioned room?
Yeah. Well, I often wonder whether it's air conditioned or whether his body temperature is so high it's drowning the temperature in the room. Okay.
Yeah. So you say his facial expression,
and this is going on, Champagne, for 5 years.
My goodness.
I mean, can you imagine the hatred in this guy? But you know, the real shock is going to come when the results of the election come.
Yes.
If it doesn't go his way.
So this is torment then, like you use the word torment, but Peter. Why would someone torment themselves in that way? For what? What is the benefit of that?
I mean, it's not he that's doing it, you know.
It's not him?
No, it's God that's doing that to him.
You made a suggestion to him.
What
with his money.
No.
Enjoy himself.
You should not be laughing at that. When God puts you through the test,
yes.
You have to be man for it not to show in other people's
Come on,
faces.
yes.
The camera crew.
Camera crew, we have another clip that you should show.
Okay.
We got in.
The gentleman we're just talking about.
Yes, we have another clip to show. Yes.
I'll tell Richard you're laughing at him.
No, I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing at the way you said it. You said it's not him, it's God that puts when.
No, but it's not him. He's just reflecting what God wants to happen.
Yes.
You know, I mean, really and truly, and it not only happens with this government, it happened with Dr. Anthony's government too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This gentleman just wants to get hold of power. Yeah. Richard.
You see, now, so Michael is not like me. He keeps calling this gentleman. Picture this man.
Yes.
Because gentleman means a certain thing to the people of St. Lucia.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but that's Sir Michael. You see, Sir Michael is a nice, soft fellow. Everybody's a gentleman to him, not to me.
But I don't know why people put themselves through this kind of thing. I mean, if I have a situation, I will not be sitting here, you know, and tormenting myself. I love the word you use, you know. You said the gentleman perspires, so Michael.
Champagne, you can come with the idea to do certain things. And you have a spirit in you saying, you know, that is not right. You should not say that. And the spirit is that spirit that God put in you at birth. So it's a good spirit.
Yeah.
But you're going against it because you hate the government and the Prime Minister so much. You're going against what you know is right. So it must torment you.
Wow.
It must.
You know, I mean, I just don't understand this thing that somebody will come and you say something 2, 3, 4 times. The public have heard you. You're on the same subject for 6 years on one man, talking your foolishness and nonsense, and most people know it's lies.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people that tell me when they go and they just turn that thing off, you know.
But Sir Michael, you said the best thing so far, you know. After the election results, I don't want to predict anything bad, but I tell you something, I wouldn't be surprised if something get heart attack, heart failure, heart whatever.
I beg to differ on that with both my two gentlemen here. The expectations from the Labour Party, nothing will happen to any one of them. They know they're not going to win. If you have a high, and I've said that before, if you have an expectation, boy, I might pull that thing out. So you have
You think they know they're going to lose?
They know they're going to lose.
So the expectation
is not that high. No one is going to get affected.
Especially after last Sunday.
Hey, let me give you the bell on that again. I get to give you the bell.
After last Sunday.
Now you have not responded to that regarding last Sunday, because you've been in rallies and politics and all, and we know it.
I watched a lot of it. I think my concern was the coronavirus.
Yes, as you said.
I had never seen anything like that before.
But on the positive side now.
On the positive side, I had never seen anything like that before. And I knew it just confirmed what I believe in my heart from day one. The job this government is doing, the kind of contribution this radio is doing, and the television.
Yes.
Ring the bell,
all the guys,
secret, all the guys and things, so the young women, and yourself, of course, and Norbert. I just know.
And yourselves and Sir Michael. Yeah.
Well, I put myself and Sir Michael last.
No.
Just come on Wednesdays for 2 hours.
No.
But I just feel within me, as a former politician, that the country is going to put this government back in office, and I go further than that. I think they will win more seats than they now win.
I believe that. How much time is taken if a new administration comes into play? Let's assume, we don't want to talk about the Labour Party. So a new administration comes in, we have the St. Jude's Hospital ongoing, the airport project, the water project, and the cul-de-sac bridge, all of the roads and all of the projects. How much time? Yes. How much time would it take for a new administration coming in to recommence those programs? Because you know they will stop them for a little while, right? They will not immediately go, because you know the new administration has to go in there, see where they could put something on the side or change things around. It never happens that they continue.
It will only be if it's a new administration.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, if it's a new set of people completely.
That is why I'm saying. Yeah.
But if this government is returned.
Oh no! I was not talking about the same government. I'm talking about if a new set of people comes in. Yeah.
If the Labour Party wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will take all the time.
Because it takes the country back.
But more than that, it will take more time than usual. You know why? Because they will not want to continue what's going on. They will change. They will go and interfere with everything.
Yeah.
Even including the airport, especially with Stevenson King coming out with that nonsense.
Yes.
You know, if they can change the airport now at Viewport and give it to the same person they wanted to give it to,
my goodness,
and the same perks, and the person promised the same deal. Because don't forget, they will not give it to somebody who will not give them something.
They must get something. And that, I believe, all along that was the plan. We're not kids. I believe that was the plan all the time.
People who don't know a word of English would understand that a deal is a deal. You have to get something out of it.
And even if them not being in politics, they would still be cashing in. Because you have made an arrangement.
Yeah.
You made a governmental arrangement, but the people now...
So to answer your question, St. Lucia will be kept back until these guys find their foot and do all kinds of... As Compton would say, Coco Macacree.
We saw it with the St. Jude's.
Yeah.
They came in 2011, broke buildings, build another part, broke it down again, build another part.
Change contractors, put their own corrupt people back in that. They'll do all of that.
That would be their first.
Yeah.
That would be their first.
And there'll be people just waiting there like hounds, with their tongues out.
Yes.
Ready to pounce.
With the tongues out.
Yeah, ready to pounce.
Yes.
We don't want that. The country has to go on the same quiet, purposeful, determined way it's going.
Yeah.
One day at a time. If these guys come there, Champagne, they'll disrupt everything.
Oh, they would.
And the unmannerly behavior, even people who are supposed to be highly qualified.
Yeah.
The way they will behave from the public service right down.
Can you imagine?
It's not going to be the best thing for St. Lucia.
The head tax that this Prime Minister has put in, the gas tax, these guys would be fiddling with these monies, These guys would be playing in these monies because they're in debt.
They will rip the country worse than they have ever done.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And it only takes a genius, Sir Michael, to put in a gas tax, that $1.50, to build us these roads, and there's still always a little extra to put aside. But the Labour Party is not going to be doing that.
These guys are so determined and so used to spending money, black is white, vati via,
Yes.
Even the VAT will go back up.
Without cutting you short, I just told your camera crew, I got a telex, a message that when you were doing the film, half of it was cut off because the TV was off. I've asked him to rerun it.
Okay.
So we can do it while we talk.
So we could do that.
people-
We could take some calls while we do it because we have 12 o'clock all day.
Yeah, we have time. We're not running away from
Oh,
it.
we have time today.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll give us some extra time.
All right, great.
Not a problem.
Great.
We'll go up to 12:30.
12:30?
Yeah, we'll go up to
12:30 is good. 12:30
Yeah.
is another half hour. So San Lucia, if you'd like to call us, we will still play the script when that comes on. We will stop. All right.
Because a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Camera crew, also, someone asked that we should highlight one more time what the
Mr.
new
Busquet?
building is going to look like. The one at,
Do they have a photo? This is Diamond.
yeah, the new Dynamo.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
some people wanted to
So,
see it.
okay, cool. Our camera crew, we want to start off with the clip with Mr. Busquet again, and we're going to run through all of the clips we showed.
Yeah,
Some people
and
were
tell him
not
he can
able
do
to
his
see.
business while we talk.
Yes.
But we don't have to. Okay.
So we want to do the first one with Mr. Busquet while we talk. When it comes on, then we'll stop. So you could call us as well, San Lucia 4560931 or 4850931. I mean, when you talk about a crowd, and I'm giving my take on it, I've been in a lot of rallies. I always liked it. It's something of fun. It's beautiful. But this one on Sunday, no one in the history of St. Lucia's politics have seen. Not even when Kenny came with that red thing that outside of the St. Jude's. Not everyone was in the same place at one time. But what we saw, no one had seen this before. 4 constituencies made it to Viewfort. 4. Only 4. And my sources tell
I
me.
didn't see when they were actually arrived at Viewfort.
Yeah, they got there really late. They got there really late. The ones that got early were those that were close, like Viewfort North, the people down in Viewfort South already, maybe Labrie shows up. But they're saying to me, Champagne, when we look at the ground, all you've seen was a sea of yellow.
Where was that stop
in
made?
Viewfort. They were around they were spread all about.
Okay.
They were spread all about. You could not have those people in just one place. And Castries East didn't make it. Castries South East, part of it
I know
made it.
Babono didn't make it.
Babono didn't make
reached as
it.
far as Denry.
Yes. Castries South didn't make it. Castries Central, I don't think did make
That
it.
is what I use as my guide.
Yes.
I use that. The fact that constituencies in the north, some
Yes.
constituencies, could not have reached
They
down
could not
there
have gone down
because the road was so busy and so
Mm-hmm.
loaded with people. I said, my God, I don't know.
Yeah.
what ever
People
we
came
could-
out to show us that, and not only that, people that stood up on the sides of the road, both sides. People that were in the verandas waving. People who were on trees. You only see these things in sports. You remember Mindo
trees.
Philip Park? You
My
remember
God.
Victoria
That's
Park?
That's what comes to my mind.
Yes.
I just see on trees.
Yeah, you remember Victoria Park when people were trying to escape to try not to pay to get in?
Right.
They were on trees
Yeah.
by the Marsh River. I remember that people were literally on trees with all of their yellows.
So you're one of those fellows who didn't pay and you're on the tree.
This was a strong indication. It doesn't win an election, but I believe in my heart 75% of the people that were there will vote. 75%. I'm not even going higher than that. I believe 75% of the people that were part of that rally will vote. And the Labour Party has to be
They must
feeling the
be-
pinch.
They must be motivated to vote.
They are, and one of the reasons they are, and I said it here on Sunday while I was doing the broadcast here, that the people are going to seek revenge on the Labour Party for all the disrespect, all the threats, all the criticisms, all the name calling, all the disrespect to Guy Joseph, calling him a thief, the Prime Minister calling him this, calling him that. The Flabo people will take their vengeance on election morning or election day. This is why they came out in the numbers. This is why they came out in the numbers. GBD, we're still waiting for the first clip you showed us. You just had it a minute ago.
Because the people know and they have seen the Prime Minister. This guy is a very humble man.
Yes, sir.
I've had one criticism only of the Prime Minister. I'm reluctant to repeat it here, but it had to do with some people being allowed to get away with that fiasco at St. Jude where they spend money, taxpayers' money, and things. That is the only thing. But you know what? Time has passed. I don't want to make people believe that I hate some people so much that I wanted to see them take jail.
Yeah.
But I just thought an example should be made. But you know what? Let that go. He'll form the government again, continue working for St. Lucia.
Yeah.
Let's continue working, people.
That's right. So,
That
Michael,
is
when
what we do.
when
Let's
I
continue working.
when I saw the Prime Minister on that pickup truck in the dark, I sent his mom a text. I said, well, if you could get in touch with the Prime Minister, ask him to not stand because it's in the dark.
And you're very right.
And
He's
because
exposed.
he's too exposed.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, this man is so well loved. I still believe he is still loved by the Labour Party people.
Yeah.
I still believe that.
And you know what I liked about it? I saw it too. I said, you know something? When you are a leader,
Yes.
you have sometimes to put your life on the line.
You have to do it.
And so that brought up my respect for him even more.
Yes,
I
sir.
would not have sent his mother, anybody, any text. That is
Right.
what a real leader does.
Right.
Put your life on the line for what you believe in.
Yes, I agree.
You know?
I agree. On the
Somebody
flip
could have
side,
shot him, I know. But you know what? He had to do it to show
I'm a
that
leader.
he-
I'm a true leader.
Yeah, that is a quality. And that is why I admire this guy
Yeah.
so much.
And when he
because-
got on the ground now, down on the ground, everyone was Mr. Shasney pulling him there.
Because I
pulling
told
him
this
there.
point, that's what I came,
It's
I
amazing.
came to do that because I didn't want his father to do it because of the I said so very early in the program.
Yeah.
Because of the emotional tie. But I have followed politics long enough and observed individuals long enough, and there's something that Sir John has said which he regretted, and I think Rick Wayne recorded this somewhere, that the only thing he regretted was sometimes he followed other people's opinions and
Yeah.
did not do
What he wanted to do.
that is one
Yeah.
thing I don't want Alan to
Yeah.
do. Take
Yeah.
different opinions, ask your father, ask Champagne, ask me, ask your friends, ask your mother-in-law, your wife, your what, okay? Go and sleep over it, take all the things they tell you. At the end, you are the Prime Minister. You have to make up your mind. It is your decision to make, not Peter Jones's decision, not Champagne's decision,
Yeah.
not your father's decision, not your mother's decision, but yours. And when you stand up, I saw him too.
Yeah.
I was watching.
Yeah.
When you stood there in the dark, I said, "Sase nom,
Yeah.
sase nom."
Even if
Because
you
if
knew
are the
something
leader,
could happen. Even if you knew
even
something
though
could
you
happen.
knew something could happen,
So Michael, you on speaker?
you have to be
Yeah.
a man. Because somebody who's crazy enough could shoot at you and kill you.
Yeah.
But you know, this is part of the process of politics, and Lucia will regret the thing. It may never happen again.
Yeah.
But when you are a leader, you have to lead.
You know-
cannot let other people think. And that is the main thing that people criticize Stephen King for. He was never able to take decisive decisions.
Yeah.
You had one of the best people, I'm coming back to Steve, you had one of the best technical people to help you, which is Dovey, Osbert Dovey, one of the best, and experienced at the time by the time you came. The guys around, the ministers didn't want Dovey because Dovey, I don't know if
They said he was not elected.
if it was
That's what they said.
personality or what. But
Yeah.
guess what? I'll say something I have never said here before or anywhere else. Dovey was a young technocrat together with Dwight Venner. When George Odlum and myself got into office with Alan Louis in 79, we insisted that these two guys should replace the two white men that were in the Ministry of Finance and Planning. In the colonial times, Britain had two young white guys there from England. And you couldn't build a feeder road anywhere on the island if they didn't agree.
Okay.
And the feeder road has to be first in an area that will produce something, which is a principle that is sound. You cannot build a feeder road to nowhere.
To nowhere, exactly.
Okay, or that's not producing.
Yeah.
But we said, you know what? Dwight Venner and Osbert Dovey, and Louisie didn't do it, and Louisie would not have done this kind of things without the support of George and myself. And we pushed for Dwight Venner and Osbert Dovey to be the two technocrats in the Ministry of Finance. When Compton came, Compton kept them when he came back after we messed up, okay, in 79 to 82.
Yeah.
You understand? But a lot of people don't know that part of their history. And I always had a lot of time for Osbert Dovey and for Dwight Venner, who is deceased. So when I see the ministers didn't want him, maybe I said Osbert used to move himself like a colossus, you know, he's well built and tall. And these guys didn't have the experience or knowledge that he had. And so he intimidated them, you know. But Steve was around long enough with Compton and saw what Dovey's worth was to Sir John Compton and the UWP. And he should not have bowed to the pressure of these guys around him and got rid of Dovey.
Let me say something here. And so, Michael, maybe I want you to listen to this as well. Listen to this. Richard Frederick, the guys on NBC, all of the persons that have criticized this Prime Minister have not been able.
I cannot talk too well, but can you send me the thing?
I was saying all of the programs, all of the hit, the criticisms, all of the programs that have been put together by Richard, by the guys on NBC, by all of the people, they have not discredited, in terms of the people, Alan Shastney, not one bit. They have not been able to cause St. Louis, the public, the majority of St. Louisians, to hate Alan Shastney. As a matter of fact, they have given him more popularity and the people have loved him more. They have done, listen to me, I am on the ground there, I know what's going on with these people. The people of St. Lucia do not hate Alan Shastney. Outside of the ones that preach Shastney must go, and where they getting that from? They hide it from the operatives of the Labour Party, their talk shows and the TV shows, the radio and TV shows.
And even the ones that are shouting, they shouted when they're among their friends.
That is that.
If they meet Alan Shastney on one-on-one,
they still hug him.
They'll be so happy.
They still hug him. I am telling you, this man is the most popular individual in this country.
That's the politics.
And I don't think they're causing any harm to him.
Well, you know, one of the things I pride myself in, and I know there are other St. Lucians who are just like me. In fact, I think a lot of St. Lucians are like me. When we are dissatisfied with something, we say what we are dissatisfied with.
Yeah.
And we don't care who vexed. And that is the kind of person I like.
Yeah.
So you know that you have to adjust your behavior, adjust what you're thinking, so people can work with you. I don't keep it within me like some people have done for years and years and years. Let it fester within me. I don't do that. I don't think that's how people should live their lives, because that thing can actually affect you.
I mean, look at Alan Shastney. Look at Alan Shastney with the young people, the Friday funnies or something like that. I watch it once or twice. And when the Prime Minister is on there, he is with the young people doing the same thing that they're doing. And this is not a fake, you know. This is what the man is. You see him at the jazz festival, you see the man in Grosley Friday night walking around, you see him eat his sauce, you see him eat his chicken. This is not somebody pretending to be somebody. This is a real individual.
But let me tell you something, you're probably too young to remember his father when the father was a young man.
Yeah, I've seen him in a few carnivals.
His father was the same way.
Yeah, I've seen him in a few carnivals.
So the apple never falls far from the tree.
Yeah, yeah. So Michael, you remember the times you were in carnival just with your bear on the way? I've seen him in several carnival parades.
So Michael was the original Shastney radical.
Yeah, but Alan never joined any carnival band. He never got involved with carnival.
He never had time to.
So Michael, Alan never got involved with carnival, no. As a regular,
not really.
I've never seen him.
Remember, he was away for
for a while.
Time, you know, when that went on.
Yeah. What's going on with the video? Are they not going to put it on, or you? So Michael, the video, we're not having the video.
So Michael,
the video. So video is so Michael is texting.
I'm sending
anyway.
campaign your people. They seem to have misplaced one or two things, so I'm sending them.
All right, so let's do some calls then.
Yeah,
because
we can take our calls. And
we have 15 minutes in Lucia,
but what I'm saying,
the line
why
is
are we
open.
taking the calls? Can they?
Yeah,
they can put it on.
Decision that has already been made. They can put it on.
Just ask your crew how soon campaign. Your camera crew, ask them how soon they'll be coming with you.
Yeah, well,
then we can start our calls.
Let's take our calls because apparently they're not getting them. Hello, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Champion. How are you? Good afternoon, Sir Michael.
Morning.
Good afternoon, Mr. Josie. I have one question for Richard Frederick. The question is, what happened to his court case that he was supposed to file against the U.S. government for revoking his visas? I would like him to answer that question. What happened to this court case? He was supposed to have sued them for $25 million for revoking his visas.
Yes, I remember that.
I have that question for him. St. Lucians haven't forgotten the whole saga, you know. We are still waiting for a lot of answers from Kenny Anthony, from Philip Pierre, from Richard Frederick. We want to know what happened to Kenny's accusation of to Kenny's statement that he does not want any criminal in his party. Today, this same criminal that he referred to, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm repeating what Kenny Anthony said. That same criminal is embraced. Beg your pardon?
ask Dr. Anthony who is the drug baron and criminal he was referring to. That's what
That-
he must do.
That's right. That's right. And we all know who he was referring to.
Yeah.
And so these questions are still outstanding. Before the people of Castries Central decides that they're going to put a vote for Richard, these questions have to be answered. What happened to his court case against the U.S. government? Was there ever a court case? Now, there's some nonsense spoken by Mr. Frederick on his talk show. He alluded to the fact that Minister Guy Joseph cannot go to the U.S. The U.S. is waiting for him because they have some case against him on the seal. Now, if the case is on the seal, first of all, Richard would have no access to that. Secondly, if the U.S. government wants Guy Joseph, they don't have to wait for him to come to the United States. They know where he is. He's right there in cabinet and in the House of Assembly. They can get him. But he himself, Richard, has no way of going to the States, even if he wants to. Please, I would like to ask him to respond to this question. What happened to the court case, $25 million lawsuit against the U.S. government? And it's been years, so we want to hear something. And I want to commend Mr. Josie for his preamble this morning. I was about leaving when I heard the beginning of it, and I decided, no, I have to listen to this. And this is a very, very good and excellent piece of writing. I am pretty sure I will read this in one of his books later on in life. I am pretty sure I will be reading it. And I don't know if Mr. Josie knows who's speaking, but one of these days I'll meet him and I'll let him know I was the one. I want to commend him. I want to commend him on that piece of writing. It is excellent, and I couldn't do it better. So I just pardon? Yes, go ahead.
It's from my heart.
Yes, I realize that. Just your reading of it and the expression tells me it was from your heart. And that makes it even better, because people can write. People can go to all sorts of research and write. It's not from their heart. And in reading it, you can see they're just reciting.
Yes.
But you are actually speaking. You are not just reciting. So I also want to extend my congratulations to Miss Janet Girodi, having I want to wish her well, and I will try to join them this afternoon on their walk. Yesterday I tried, but it was kind of late, and they had already left the office. But I will try my best this afternoon.
Okay.
All right, beautiful.
Yeah,
Thanks
to
a lot.
join them. Okay.
Thanks a lot. All right, great.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. Hello?
There seems to be a delay. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me now?
I can hear you now,
There seems to be
yes,
some
go
sort of delay.
Go ahead.
Okay, yes. I'd like to say, yeah, good morning, Champion. Good morning, Mr. Michael. Good morning, Mr. Josie.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Yeah, I would like to also compliment Mr. Josie on that preamble. It was well thought of, well written. There's nothing to add, nothing to take out from it. Well written.
Yeah, is anything
Mr.
else
Josie,
is an
there's
offer?
something you said. Yeah, there's something you said there, boy, and I alluded to it at some point in time on Norbert's program. But instead, I decided to say a prayer for Mr. Frederick instead. But this is something that is quite true. And it is just like men who are alcoholics. Their face change, they start getting ugly, their beard gets white and stuff like that. And it's the same thing with lies.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Frederick has been doing his fair share of lies. And I think it's also happening to the leader of the opposition. The faces are changing because they are lying so much.
Yeah.
And it is, I think it is a result of all the that their face is changing. And I don't know, it's unrecognizable now, because to me, the man I knew Richard to be, he has gone far, far, far away from that man. That man used to be in church. He used to always say, who Jah bless, no man curse. But he also has to remember that, who Jah curse.
No man
I
rest.
don't want to go there.
So, caller,
So,
you two have recognized that facial expression.
Oh yes. In a lot. Yes, like I said, it's even happening to the leader of the opposition right now.
Yeah.
His face is changing too, because he's doing his fair share of lying these days. I mean, he was not a man like that.
And remember,
he was ferocious, always ferocious. You know.
Remember, the
But to
Bible.
me-
The Bible have spoken about a lying tongue. Huh? And for those, I don't know what verse of scripture. I don't know what verse of scripture it is, but I know the Bible does speak about a lying tongue. So they let them do whatever they want. But I'm happy that you can call in to say that you too have expressed that type of facial expression on TV.
Yeah. It is definitely something that I have noticed, and I'm so happy that now Mr. Josie brought it out. I wanted to bring it. I couldn't figure out exactly how to articulate it, but he brought it out, and it is something that I too have noticed.
All right.
Like Sir Michael said, in terms of Mr. King, it is a sad day. I have.
Party government would not have a criminal, a convicted criminal in its cabinet.
You, Dr. Kenny Anthony, you are a pathological, compulsive, blatant liar, deceiver.
A Labour government would not have a drug baron in its cabinet.
Kenny, tonight I call you a categorical, compulsive, pathetic, categorical liar.
Tell Richard Frederick to stay in his section.
The party at the same time, I cannot understand it, but I think he has made a grave error. In the twilight of his career, to have done something so is really suicidal, in my opinion. But I guess we will.
Stephenson King's continued leadership of the United Workers' Party has been called into question since the party's defeat at the polls. The UWP has yet to announce a date for its next convention when the leadership issue will be settled. But former Foreign Minister Rufus Bousquet believes the party, which is now in opposition, has to look beyond its current leader Stephenson King and what it represents as a party.
Clearly, the fact that we won in 2006 under Sir John tells you the tremendous influence that he had on the process. And it has to be something that they have to accept as a reality, that without Sir John, the United Workers' Party has failed to make any dent on the political landscape with any of the leaders subsequent to him, whether it was Vaughan Lewis or Morella Joseph or Stephenson King. And so they have to ask themselves, really, what is it that they need in terms of leadership? And does Stephenson King have it, or anybody else in the party have it, in order to take the party forward and for it to provide a meaningful challenge to the current administration?
Mr. Bousquet, who lost his Choiseul seat in the last election, says the local electorate has proven to be fickle, basing their political decisions on spurious matters that are irrelevant to their future well-being. In such an environment, he believes any party can survive with anyone at the helm, depending on how the individual is sold. In this regard, Mr. Bousquet believes that Stephenson King has to reinvent himself in a number of ways.
He has to look the part, he has to sound the part, he has to be more decisive in terms of his decision making. He has to stand for something. I think as far as the electorate was concerned, you never felt his presence. He, in the past, in the time, or during the time that he was the leader of the party and Prime Minister, he tended to be more of a parliamentary rep for his constituency and to take care of issues relating to his constituency. And I think he never stamped any real vision for the country or for the party. I don't think he did that.
As far as Mr. Bousquet is concerned, the electorate did not buy into the UWP in the last elections. He says there was never a case in which they saw a strong, decisive individual standing before them and saying, "This is where I want to take St. Lucia." This is what I stand for, and I need your support. For the DBS News World, Pete Ninval reporting.
Our island, Ianola, forged under pressure. Nations battled for her honor, yet she emerged as the jewel of the Caribbean, the envy of many. A people strong, resilient, creative, diligent, and pioneering. Together we continue aspiring to new heights. A people deserving of no less than an environment in which to thrive, to work, to earn, to play, to learn in our pursuit of excellence in this place we call home. Deserving too, no less than strong leadership. The past 5 years have been testament of this. Leaders and people working together to build a new St. Lucia, with leadership based on a strong vision, showing, leading, encouraging our people to aspire to greatness as one St. Lucian family. Through creative economic policies, projects, investments, and interventions, much progress has been made and assurances unfold. With Alan Michael Shastney, along with a dedicated team of the United Workers' Party at the helm, a new St. Lucia is emerging. A new St. Lucia that adapts to the demands and challenges of today's global village. A new St. Lucia that forges ahead despite the uncertainties of tomorrow. 2016 saw the commencement and maintenance of an upward trajectory and positive economic growth, with decreased unemployment as more job opportunities were created. The largest investments in infrastructural development and capital projects commenced. Record stayover arrivals in tourism. Record cruise ship arrivals. Creative arts benefiting from the investments in the summer festivals, St. Lucia Jazz, Carnival, Roots and Soul, and Creole Heritage Month. Artists and athletes excelling on the international stage like never before. Our pride has been restored as greater emphasis was placed on the national festivals and events, including our annual Independence Anniversary celebrations, which underscores our patriotism. Young entrepreneurs flourished through the support and interventions of the Small Business Development Center in the Ministry of Commerce, Invest St. Lucia, and Export St. Lucia. There was diversification in our agricultural sector that saw the export of non-traditional crops. And no longer do vendors and farmers have to endure the elements as they trade the produce from our farmers, as they now boast new market facilities. Our children are being better prepared to engage in the advances of ICT and education and e-learning with the provision of not only e-devices, but the necessary training, software, hardware, and connectivity. We have witnessed the largest investment in school infrastructural work. The most extensive island-wide road improvement project network ever has been delivered. A modern road network for our farmers to transport their goods, for our people to have better access to essential services and jobs, for our children to have ease of movement to and from school, for emergency vehicles to better respond to our needs, and so much more. In improvements to Port Castries, with port redevelopments due for VA4 in the south, as well as the UNORA International Airport redevelopment project. It is said that difficult times draw us together and brings out the best in us. This past year has done just that, as we continue to battle the impact of the global pandemic brought on by COVID-19. We have seen our resources dwindle and a decline in GDP as all sectors, including tourism, have been affected. Undaunted, we press on with stellar leadership from our Prime Minister, his team, and our frontline workers. Support has been provided to the various sectors through the economic relief programs aimed at caring for the most vulnerable among us and providing relief to those who are now unemployed. Short and medium-term strategies have also been implemented aimed at getting the wheels of the economy moving again. government has made significant investments in healthcare, transitioning to OKEU, transforming Victoria Hospital, and making significant progress on the St. Jude's Hospital. While steering clear of the daunting cliffs of despair, this government continues to guide Fair Helen to safer shores. The work has only just begun as we continue to build a new St. Lucia, one that is stronger and better. St. Lucia, a resilient nation, stronger, better with the United Workers' Party. Let's keep working together for you, for me, for all of us.
Under watch.
Yeah.
They should remain under watch because they choose constituencies which are not very large and which can be very significant. You know, they would rather do that in Central Castries, for example, than in Castries South. If you get the point I'm making. Right? Although Castries South is marginal. So,
all right. Thank you,
so
Paul.
one has to be very careful about that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, beautiful. All right, so I got the message here from about a line tongue here. It says, verse 16 says, "These 6 things thou the Lord has hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, and heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren." So this is what a lying tongue, and it said, I want to read the first one again. It said, "These 6 things thou hast the Lord hate, ye 7 are an abomination unto him." So all of those things are abomination unto the God. It says, a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. So for those persons that are on radio, on TV, and all about the place lying all day, this is what the Bible says about a lying tongue. We're going to do how many more calls? We have 12:35. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
To Mike.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, to Josie.
Hi, good afternoon.
I really enjoyed that preamble by Mr. Peter Josie, the genius. This guy, Peter Josie, as I've said to Champagne personally, Peter is a genius. And Peter, you are so right about everything in that preamble.
Caller, you flatter me.
I am telling you, and I'm telling you too, I have your back. I have your back.
Thank you.
And Champagne knows that.
Yeah.
Yes, Champagne knows that picture. I have your back. I'm known as greedy people, and that's how I go by. I'll tell you one thing. We should always be showing this clipping of a former prime minister, that failure that they call Dr. Kenny Anthony. We should always show this clipping of what he had been saying about this world boss guy, that he doesn't want this kind of elements in the party, and that they should stay in the corner. We should always be showing that thing.
I agree with that. I agree with you, caller.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something, Champagne.
Yeah.
What you just read out there, Champagne, you should keep reading it out because it's very important. You know, you have to defend the truth, okay? Because the lies are very corrosive.
Agreed.
You should always defend the truth, okay? And defend the lies because the lies are very corrosive. I'll talk to you again, guys.
All right, thank you very
Have
much.
a good day.
All right, beautiful. All right, Senator, so, gentlemen, I know you gave me some extra time. It is 12:40, and we want to say thank you very much, Senator. We seem to be having a little issue with our landlines. I don't know for what reason we have a dial tone and everything, but it seems not to be working. So, Sir Michael, any last words, or you want to do one more call?
Well, you can do one more.
Okay, so let's take this last one here from overseas. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Two things. One thing makes me upset today. And you know why? The part of the world I am in is going to be very hot in America.
Yeah.
Around this time of year. And I'm not supposed to be upset when it's so hot. So a young lady said this morning that it was the first time she saw Alan Shastry at Black Larry. Sunday while I was watching the motorcade, I saw Mr. Shastry on the truck, and I'm saying to myself, Lord, this man doesn't have a family. This man doesn't have a home. Everywhere you look, Alan Shastry is there.
Yeah.
He was there from the beginning to the end. I'm saying the people of St. Lucia should thank his wife and his family for sharing him with us all this time. What time does he go home? Is he the energizer? What time does he sit down at the table with his family? What time? He's everywhere. Everywhere. Sunday I watched that thing. I'm so sorry I was in there. I watched that thing from beginning to end. And he was on that truck with the same spirit from till I last saw him. And that is they said Stevenson King live. That was the worst lie I ever heard, because I've seen this everywhere. Every ghetto, eating everything, drinking everything. And the other thing again, his father just said, when you have a business, if you have a business, for example, and you're selling goods and you have competition and you see.
Are you there, Gola?
No, I'm not here.
Hello?
How do you expect your business to grow? The competition is gonna be making it and you're gonna set back. So the United Workers Party was what it was as far as I can remember. I'm a 60s girl. So I know how far the United Workers Party went back. I am in this because of Romanus Lansico. He used to make it his duty every week to come up the hill in the rocky roads to see my grandmother and sit with her and speak to her every week. And my entire family are flobos because of a man like Romanus Lansico.
Yes. Kola, we seem to be having a problem with your location. And,
with the O.
Hello?
Forward. Stop calling people ma. Don't call me a ma. Away. Bean. And I will forward. Want to shine a grass to the people. So when you going to say let's to do, then you're.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Kola, with the belly and it
like I
seem to be in a bad location. Seem to be in a bad location, Kola. We're really sorry on that. Sorry about that. And this morning I asked you what is, if you could define an independent labor. And someone just sent me a text. It says that the $1 million question is what is an independent labor candidate? My answer, an independent labor candidate is a candidate that has been doing all the labor dirty works without a possibility of endorsement from the Labour Party. It is a candidate who wants the electorate to think that he is enough affiliation to the party to get the votes, but enough independent to destroy them in the event that he does get his way. So they're telling you that somebody just pretending to be on that side, but to do all of the dirty work at the same time. So,
I buy that.
So let's do that final international call. This one is the final one. We seem to be having a problem with all our lines. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, Champagne.
Good afternoon.
I'm calling about my Prime Minister. These people can say what they want because Mr. Shastry is one of the best representatives I've ever seen. He's with the people, always on the ground.
Yeah.
He always answers your call. He always gets back to you. Okay?
Amen.
And I have given him power and he has to get back to me.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller. Have a good one.
So let them talk.
All right. You calling from Florida? Oh, she hung up. And I had a gentleman that just called me a minute ago. He told me to say hello to you, Mr. Abraham. He's from Cool Breeze in Soufrière.
Okay.
You know him very well.
Very
He
well.
operates up there in St. John's.
Okay.
He told me to say hello to you. Gentlemen, the phone is still going, but let me get your last words, Mr. Josie.
Yeah, well, Champagne, I actually prepared maybe a little better than I used to because, as I said, I usually come here, do my best to continue the line of thought of Sir Michael Chasney. But last night and this morning, early, I actually took my time and put something down on paper because I think it was that important. And as I said to you, I wanted to form the last chapter of my life story that I'm writing. And I want to wait until the results of the election. So all of this preamble, what Mr. King said, what the Prime Minister said, what Ms. Rowley said, and all of the little things in between, I want to have an accurate record of that, and then of course the results of the elections, do what I did in Shattered Dreams and put the constituency results, etc., etc. So I was very happy to be able to do that, and I was very happy to hear that one or two of our callers thought that it was a job well done, and I thank them for that. But generally speaking, I always feel good when I come here and express myself honestly and sincerely, because I believe that God has spared my life for a reason. And because I was a political person, I was fortunate to have gone overseas to study. I've traveled fairly widely. I still read fairly widely. So I believe I have something to share with the people of St. Lucia, and I don't have to be in any political office to do it. And that's why I come every Wednesday with Sir Michael and yourself to do it.
Can you give the young people some guidance into why they should vote for this United Workers' Party in this election?
Well, I'll say something quite honestly and frankly. I believe this government has done more for young people than I've seen. When George and I were there at Alan Louisi, one of the things I tried to do in Beaufort, when I was representing Beaufort at the time, the government in agriculture, was to start a small project to train unemployed people in the Beaufort area, to build a special camp for them and things. So, but we didn't last. The U.S. government understood what I was doing. They came to St. Lucia, they visited me and asked me that we could help. And U.S. Aid actually gave us some money to help these young people. Since then, I haven't heard any particular thrust by the Labour Party for young people specifically, But if you don't train your young people and you don't train them to think, you don't train them to develop a skill, you're really not preparing your country for when you yourself get old. When you get old, if the young people are not ready and not working, how will
they won't be able to maintain you.
Everything exactly, because you can't pay taxes anymore.
That's right.
That's right. So if you're smart and you intend to stay in this country until God calls you home, you have to train the youth. Not only your own children that start at home, but all young people that you can help, especially in the field of training, skills training and education. That is crucial. Every young person should have a skill or should have an education that can take them further than you yourself went.
Thank you. So Michael, any last words?
Yeah, well, as usual, Champion, I want to thank, unfortunately we couldn't get all our callers today, but I want to thank Mr. Josie for this wonderful preamble, and it speaks volumes by the number of people that have called in to support him on what he's done. And this is what makes the station what it is. The level of the contribution that we can both produce to the nation, and that's what puts us one step ahead of other people.
Yes, sir.
So again, St. Lucia, the time is drawing near. I'm looking forward to the couple of days before the 26th, and we'll certainly be back on the air and share whatever we know and pass on the valuable information to everyone.
Nominations.
And hopefully that come the 27th, we can all celebrate together.
Exactly. Nomination day is Friday, this Friday.
Friday,
So everyone is going to know who's going to be in running or not.
By the way, I checked my polling station, my voting place, and I am scheduled to vote at the Grocery Secondary School.
Yeah, that is important.
Usually I go very early.
Yeah.
So I'll watch and see what happens and see. I like to go early for fear I forget,
Yeah. So one thing, Champion, what is your prediction for the turnout? Let me hear what you have to say.
The turnout is going to be the biggest turnout in the history of St. Lucia's elections.
Interesting.
And the results of the elections, not to be biased, is a 17-0. I have that feeling, and when you hear people talk about library, we should just look at what happened. Take a look at what happened with that motorcade on last Sunday with the library people. Yeah. It was huge. That is a sign. All right, so my predictions, you want to give me a prediction? Or you want to leave it for next Wednesday?
I'll wait for it for next Wednesday.
All right.
Now, let me say something to you. On Robert's show last night, I saw something that was quite disturbing, and that is the court case with...
oh, yeah.
This is incredible.
It's very, very, very ridiculous.
The court case with who?
With Hila.
Did you
This
watch
is
the
the
Robert
fifth.
last night?
No, I was not able to. I told her, but I couldn't.
Okay. You imagine that, Peter. The court case, which had been adjourned several times, it finally went to mediation.
Can you believe
and
it?
Mediation also adjourned it. and they adjourned it for the July the 6th. And the government and the customs was waited there for over an hour, and the defendants never showed up until an hour and a half later. Said they forgot and nobody did anything about it.
So mediation between the government body. My goodness.
Yeah.
Compton said it best, Coco Macacree.
Macacree.
Coco Macquarie.
Yeah.
Macquarie.
My goodness. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. And Senator. All right, Senator. Well, thank you once again for tuning in. And for those of you who were trying to call into our landlines, that was not possible. I don't know what the problem is, but I hope that you could get us a little later today or tomorrow or next Wednesday when we have our program. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we should have the man E.T. coming in this afternoon, although I have not seen him. I know normally he's here very, very early. But in the meantime, let us get you some flamenco music.
One report, patience, me code, chap web, wale, me could village, we go in